This band is always trying to be ourselves. If I had to pick one word, unique, no matter what, like through the thick and thin of people's, commentary on the band or what they think we should be. We just do what we want to do. And that's Diamond Construct to us.
Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast. Rated R.
Criminal charges with you, bro. Guess like we're avoiding the shark. Call it leather fetish, dude.
No, today, Turbo Neck Day.
I'll give you a kiss. You give me your number.
That checked out a ton, dude. Tell me you felt.
We're Americans. We're the ones that are descendants from the 1776 musket-bearing motherfuckers.
Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast, where we collect experiences as badges, memories as treasures, and stories as wealth. In this episode, I interview Kynan Groundwater, the vocalist of the Australian nu-metalcore band Diamond Construct. We talk all about their writing process, best and worst live shows, anime aesthetics, and a track-by-track of Angel Killer Zero Deluxe. Let's dive in. So back in episode 32, I actually interviewed Braden and Liam. This was a couple years back, right when Jinx dropped, and a lot has happened since then, I'm sure. I'm stoked to get into the deluxe edition of Angel Killer Zero. But first, I just wanted to ask how your most recent tour was with Windwaker, 1000 Below, Headwreck. What were the highlights and who did you connect with?
Oh man, that tour was awesome. It just seems like a couple of years ago, I guess, when you guys would have been chatting last time, things were still sort of plodding along for getting the release together. But now that it's out, it's really good to see like the fans going crazy for a lot of the new songs. So yeah, we definitely broke down with 1000 Below. They were like the new guys on the block for us that we hadn't toured with. So obviously them being on Pale Chord, they've got like a massive following over in the US and stuff. So it was good to meet those guys. And we actually know Windwaker really, really well. Like we toured with them back when, we were kids, basically in 2017 were one of our first tours. We went out and supported them. So that was our third tour with those guys. So it's pretty mumuch just like the broskies by now. So it was awesome, man.
Nice. And how was Headwreck? I actually interviewed them a while back, like episode 18. This was really early in their career.
Yeah, they're like a fairly new band to the touring circuit. So I think this was their proper Destroy All Lines tour. So Destroy All Lines being like the main company in Australia that puts on, Good Things or Knotfest and, a lot of the bigger tours and stuff. So they learned really, really fast. I was super impressed. After show one, they pretty much were just looking around to see how everyone operates, and everyone sort of took them under their wing just to let them know, this is how we run things, this is how we do things. So pretty much by show two, they were helping unload the trucks and load them back up and doing well with their merch setups. And yeah, they took it really, really seriously. So I was very, very impressed by those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. They got a bright future.
Yeah.
And I want to ask about a best show and a worst show of your career.
Yeah. Best show, that's a hard one. Like there's a lot of great shows. I would probably say Cult Fest was the highlight so far. Even though it wasn't like to the most amount of people that we've played to, it was the most insane vibes because I think we hadn't played Brisbane for a little while. It was the last show of our tour as well. So we were like primed and ready. We were coming out guns firing and big hometown show for us as well. So I'd have to say Cult Fest. Worst show, oh man, that would be going back years and years ago, but I would say I think there was a show that Braden couldn't play for whatever reason when we were first starting out, so nothing was going well for us that night. So I'd say that one. Years ago though, this was like when we first started, 2016 or something.
Yeah. And then how about those crazy shows with like the people hanging on the lights and the ceilings coming down and then the dude running through the wall? Let's hear about those.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't actually that long ago. Like the guy hanging from the lights and stuff, I'm pretty sure he's still banned from that venue. I don't think he really cares though, because he's probably not all that into metal. But it was essentially like we were playing this club show in Sydney and things got absolutely crazy. We just look up and he's climbing on people and then he's hanging off like this low hanging ceiling with this massive lighting structure. and he pulled them all down onto the crowd. So we had to stop for like 20 minutes. We didn't cut any of our set, luckily, because we were headlining that show. So things sort of went ahead. But yeah, he quickly got ripped out of the venue, and he's definitely not allowed back. But the dude running through the wall, we played with Justice for the Damned years ago at this house show when we were very first starting. We might have been playing like third up on the day. It was one of those shows where you've got like 12 bands playing in someone's living room, and they might have had like a makeshift stage outside out the back. And this dude was just going crazy. I think it was one of the band's mates that was like, he was a ring in to just start moshes and stuff. Yeah, and he just went a little crazy and just ran through the gyp rock, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this show's just getting out of hand right now. So, but we've had lots of things like that. I remember we played another house show in Coffs Harbour when we were first starting out, and someone jumped through a window in their garage. Like it was one of those ones that was separate to the house. So yeah, the local scene was crazy back in the day. It's pretty tame now.
We got to change that. You got to bring the hype back and the energy.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what about any embarrassing moments on stage or any injuries?
Embarrassing moments. I think we were playing Brisbane Crowbar probably in like 2019 or something like that. I think it was a support show. The stage was really, really wet for some reason. Soaked, man. And I remember I probably slipped over about 3 times during that set because I was going pretty ham, I was pretty energized and just nothing was working. So that was probably the most embarrassing sort of thing that had happened to me on stage. I don't know about the other boys, but yeah.
That is pretty bad.
Oh, it was awful, man.
Yeah, I've seen that a handful of times. I remember one time I was filming Volumes like at Chain Reaction, and then I watched the videos back later, and then I saw Michael Barr totally just slipped and ate shit, and I didn't even notice it while I was filming, but it was like, oh dude, I got that on video. That's pretty funny.
Dude, I love that band. They're in my top 5 or 6 bands of all time. I still listen to Volumes like almost every day, bro.
They're so good. What's like your favorite songs by them?
Oh, okay. Well, my favorite album from them would be No Sleep. I think Via is all time, but I just think the time that No Sleep came out, like I was kind of that age where I was like really getting into metal properly and starting a band and shit. I guess my favorite song would be The Mixture, and then probably followed by like something off Via, like Paid in Full. But I really fuck with their new stuff, man. Like Bend is such a great song. FBX is such a great opener. But what about yourself? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I would say No Sleep is probably my favorite. I think favorite Volume song would be Happier. I just think that song is so incredible. It's a beautiful track. Obviously Bend, like you said, FBX. And then there's Lets Me Down. That's another really good one off Happier.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think No Sleep is just a really cool album, like Pistol Play, and they have a lot of ambient stuff on there too. So yeah, I like that one a lot.
It's got a good blend, doesn't it, of like their original sort of gentia metalcore, and then they've added a lot of melody. That's what I liked about that album, and it really worked.
Yeah, for sure. And then speaking of favorite songs, what's your favorite Diamond Construct song of all time? And also your favorite lyric?
It's a hard one because like it changes all the time. It just depends on like week to week. But my favorite Diamond Construct song of all time for different reasons, maybe I'll give you 2. I'll probably say for this reason, kind of breaking through the local scene into like the sort of main support or, the local headliner scene would have been probably Hit It Back or Psychosis for us, because those 2 songs were really monumental in shaping like that Diamond Construct's, a band to sort of look out for. But in terms of creatively and sonically, it would be something off Angel Killer Zero. I'd probably have to say at the moment Faded or Hashira. I think those 2 ones really personify what this band is about, that it can be sort of unique and different and have like a bunch of stuff together that somehow works. Favorite lyric though, I'd probably go with something off DCX2. I'd say Scythe are probably my favorite lyrics. I think they're the most raw and honest. Yeah, so I'd have to say Scythe off DCX2.
Anything specific, like a line or 2?
Yeah. I think I just think the verse, when it's sort of talking about alcoholism and, that sort of self-sabotage It kind of reminds me of Korn a little bit, and obviously Korn are like my favorite band. So I'd say that first probably 4 to 8 lines in the verse is probably my favorite. I can't pick out like a single line. Yeah, I just think that it all works together.
There's a saying that the most vulnerable is the most creative. So I feel like that applies.
Yeah, for sure. That's not to say that every Diamond Construct lyric is like that. Obviously, I like writing the fun lyrics and everything as well, but that one definitely sticks out lately for myself.
Yeah, you got to have a range for sure. And then on the other end of the spectrum, what about a least favorite Diamond Construct song? Is there any that you look back and you're just like, I wish I didn't put that out, or just like, man, this one didn't age well?
Yeah. Probably something from the self-titled, even though, I really have a soft place in my heart for that, like a soft spot, because it obviously started everything for us. But I just think that the album is sort of dated now. I think a couple of songs really did well and like kind of held their ground for a while, like Animus and Hypno. But for us, like Night Terrors, we just don't like that song. And I know that like that wouldn't go down with a lot of the self-titled diehard fans out there. And like I know there's still a fair few of them hanging around, but the song just is so generic to us and it doesn't really have any uniqueness. So that song for sure, we hate playing that one.
Do you still play it?
No.
Just over it. Retired.
Yeah, retired, bro. Forever. It's never coming back.
And then is there any lyrics that you look back and you're like, man, I wish I didn't say that, or I could have written that better?
I think the internet would probably tell you that almost every Diamond Construct song is like that.
Yeah, dude, people like to hate on some of your lyrics, especially Hit It Back.
Yeah, they do. And like, I think it's funny. Like, I honestly don't care or whatever. Like, this is why you do it. Like, if you look at like Korn and stuff back in the day when they first came out, like no one really understood them. Limp Bizkit, another one. They're just doing what they're doing. I just think I'm doing what I'm doing. But I'd have to probably say, yeah, something off the self-titled again. I'm just going to pick out Night Terrors. I just think it's so generic. I think we were writing sort of a song to fit like a mold or a purpose. I'd have to say the lyrics for that one just don't really mean too much to me, especially anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what I love about you guys is that you've learned how to lean into what makes you unique and just be bold and yourselves. And people can't help but either hate on it or respect it. And that's the place you want to be.
For sure, man. Like, you want to be moving the needle, and like either way is good. So it's like if you're kind of always in the middle, you're not really copping much hate or copping much love. Like, you're not really gonna make a stance or leave an impression. So I'm glad that like
you're not being talked about.
Yeah, I'm glad that we can either move that needle swinging like either side. So if people hate the band or they hate what we're about or whatever, like that's fine. At least they're talking about us. And the same goes with the other way around. Like, we do have a lot of diehard fans that fuck with it. So that's good.
Yeah, you mentioned Limp Bizkit, and then like the next generation of that was like Imure, Attila, and like they really capitalize on the like no such thing as bad publicity. Like, you can hate me all you want, but like it's being talked about, and now it's in front of new people, and then other people love it, and then they're getting into comment wars, and that just boosts you in the algorithm, more engagement and all that. So,
yeah, exactly.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, for sure. I love Imure. They're definitely one of my favorite bands as well.
What about your favorite Imure tracks?
Easily off Look at Yourself. I think that's their best album of all time. I'd have to say Russian Hotel Aftermath. It just goes so hard. I remember we were on tour when that came out, and I was like, I think I listened to it at least 25 times in the first night.
I like the first 2 tracks on that one.
It's good.
Yeah,
really good opening tracks.
Yeah, and then their next album, Hindsight, I like the opening track the most on that one as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that whole album actually, Hindsight, is really good. I think it really works, like the shorter tracks, like just heavy breakdowns. It's like short and sweet.
Yeah. And the mixes on both those albums are so crazy. Like Josh Travis, obviously a mastermind, and it's a totally different band, with these recent 2 albums from like all the previous stuff.
Yeah. The latest stuff is that when Josh came in, I think they finally found like a new niche. It was like really refreshing for the band, and they definitely needed it by that point because they've been a band for so long. And I just think they've reached their final form now, which is great.
Yeah. I wonder when the next album's going to come out, because it's been 5 years now.
Yeah. Well, when we toured with them, we were kind of asking that, and they don't really even have an answer themselves. I know that they've got, some stuff in the works or whatever, and they really want to get it out, but I can't even really remember why they said but they just sort of said, something's in the works and it'll come out when it comes out. And I was like, okay, fair enough.
And they still have a lot of, monthly listeners. So it's like the fan base is still there and ready when they do want to release something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when, we mentioned Limp Bizkit before. It's funny, like you go on their social media, bro, and it's like they do everything they can to not post about anything. I guess they don't really need to anymore.
Yeah, because anytime they announce a tour, I mean, people are still going. I saw them a couple of years ago and it was in like an arena and it was awesome, dude. It was amazing.
Yeah, huge.
Have you seen Limp Bizkit?
Once I saw them headline Good Things, and I think that would have been probably the best set I've ever seen, in the top 3 at least. The others being like Korn, Good Things, and Bring Me the Horizon when they toured with Architects supporting them in 2016, I think. So yeah, those would be like the top 3 sets.
Yeah. When I saw Limp Bizkit, they opened and closed with break stuff, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, they definitely did that when I saw them, and that's what gave us the idea. Braids and I sort of turned to each other when they did that, and we're like, yo, hit it back ×2. So we started doing that.
That's fun. So, Kynan, what made you want to do music in the first place?
My dad is a guitar teacher. He was in bands when, he was our age and stuff like that. And this is obviously way back in the ancient times. He obviously taught us guitar, both me and Braden, from a young age. So I think we started playing guitar when we were like 4. My mum's a singer as well. So it was kind of just bred into us, I guess, without sort of saying, any sort of nepo baby sort of stuff. Like we definitely worked hard for ourselves at the same time, because it takes self-drive to even learn, I guess. So we just sort of started really young, man. I think we started doing our first sort of dummy bands, probably like when we were 10 or 12, and just getting together and jamming and stuff like that. So, but a lot of the guys and girls that used to come through and learn guitar from my dad, they would show us, CDs or whatever they were working on, or bands like Parkway and I Killed the Prom Queen and all that. So as soon as those bands came across us, we were just like, yeah, we want to do this. So it was pretty early on that we knew that we wanted to be in a band.
And can your dad play any of your songs on guitar?
Nah, I don't think so.
No?
He's really good guitarist, but just a totally different sort of dude. Like his style is very much more like, he can play 12 strings really well, and he's great at like doing leads and chords sort of together, like almost making the guitar sound like a harp, I guess, like as many sounds as you can with that, but not the techniques that Braden does. Braden's obviously taken it like a step further now.
Yeah, well, he's in a league of his own. Braden's not the most technical guitarist. Like he might not be able to do all the solos, but like his innovation and his creativity is what makes him really stand out.
Yeah. Well, like you've obviously met Braids before. You've spoken to him and stuff. So there's one thing that people need to know about him. He's a bit of an alien, he's like a very unique character, and like we love him for that. So he's constantly just out there in space trying to like, just download the craziest alien material. And when he hits the pedal board, bro, like it's actually mind blowing when you see some of the stuff that he can do. So obviously he can't shred or anything like that, but like he doesn't need to, he's built his career off just that pedal board.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I feel like he's a criminally underrated guitarist.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely say that he's up there in Australia. I'm probably biased because, he's my brother and he's in the band, but I definitely think he needs a lot more recognition. We started doing the reels, like we bought some lights and we started to take that a little bit more serious and get him out there online, and it's really good to see that a few of the videos are getting some good reach and stuff. So it's about time that like people could start to see like, his skills. So
right. Yeah. Well, and people don't realize, they think, oh, it's just computer core, you're just making all this in the computer. It's like, no, he's playing this live and you're seeing what he's doing on the pedal board, and it gives you a whole new appreciation for it. So yeah. I think the reels were a great idea, and I've been sending them around as well to like my guitarist friends and stuff, like, check this out, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I think when you hear something like Diamond Construct or whatever, it's very easy to put it in the box of like, oh, they're just another automation computer fucking band that is all done on a computer. It's like, yeah, it's actually not. And I understand that because it's very hard to actually digest what the riffs might actually be doing, because it probably sounds a little bit crazy to them. But I think we're one of those bands that once you see it be played, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I know what it's actually doing now, the riff. Like, that's given me a new appreciation for what it's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And Kynan, do you remember the first album you bought? And also, what's an album that got you through the hard times?
Yep, two really good questions here. I'd say the first album that I owned was like a signed copy of I Killed the Prom Queen, because my dad bought a guitar off the fella that was like in the band, and the band was ending, so he was selling his guitar. My dad bought the guitar, and then he sent us like a CD, their recent album, and like I fell in love with that album, so that was like incredible.
Which album was that?
Musically for the Recently Deceased. It's like light blue with some hands doing some, like, I don't know, they're like reaching for each other or something on the front cover. Classic metalcore, bro. It's like so fat, huge breakdowns, and like it came out in like 2006 or something, so you got to appreciate it for what it is. But an album that got me through a tough time, there's a lot of those. I could probably pick off a song maybe from an album, and I'd probably say it would be like Ocean Grove's Mr. Centipede. That was like a tough time when that came out, but it was like such a great song that it didn't even matter what the lyrics were doing. It was just like such a banger of a song. I just had that on repeat for ages.
Yeah, Ocean Grove, their most recent track, Last Dance, that one just like really blew my mind. I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's a beautiful track.
Yeah. I think all of their most recent stuff, My Disaster, is it as well? That song's a banger. They're definitely coming home strong, that's for sure.
They're doing the nu metal thing. It's so cool that nu metal is back, and like a lot of these bands are putting out their own spin on it, and I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, it's really good to see that they're sort of coming back to that sound, but everything they do is incredible, man. I love that they're just sort of doing their own niche. It's a lot more mainstream vibes, but like it's actually awesome because it still works on metalcore bills.
Yeah, and they just have a really diverse skill set, and all their tracks, all their albums, they all sound wildly different. So there's something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then let's talk about the realities of, trying to make it in music and then also working normal jobs. I can definitely relate to that, being a filmmaker, a podcaster, and balancing those big ambitions with like the down to earth realities of paying the bills.
Oh yeah, this is a great question, bro, to talk about, because I think a lot of people don't really see the harsh realities of what being in a band and trying to get off the ground is like. So we all work full time, different things. So Liam is an electrician. My brother and I, we both work at Woolworths, which is like a supermarket over here in Australia. So we work nights, stocking the shelves and stuff like that. And you work full time, you pay your rent, your bills and stuff like everyone else at home would normally do. But then on top of that, you've got merch bills, booking flights, booking accommodation, fuel in the car to go on tour, just so much more that like I guess people don't really see. And I think like a lot of people when they... And no stick to them, they just don't know. But when people complain about, t-shirts being expensive at shows or ticket prices, like for our baby metal show, just for example, like it's $110. Yeah, it looks expensive, but I just don't think that a lot of people see how much actually is going behind all of it, and how much it costs to put on these things. So yeah, it's definitely a tough gig. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but the rewards are second to none. When you get to meet a lot of people and travel around, be on stage, like there's no greater feeling. So like the 20% of the rewards, I like to use the 80-20 rule. It's like 80% grueling, grinding, hard work. I hate this. 20% is like, this is the best shit ever. I never want to stop.
Right. It makes it worth it. And really too, you got to kind of do double time, because it's like you got to work and then you got to come back and carve out time for your personal projects and stuff. And
yeah,
you got to put in the time for it.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's like some people at my actual job, like at Woolworths, they'll come up and they'll be like, so do you get any time off? Like, how do you do it? And I say, well, like the only time I get off is I use all my leave to go on tour, and then I come back and I work. So it's like, there's no holidays, there's no having days off or whatever. Like, you're working, you get to tour, and then that's your second job, But I love it like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
And so you have to have like a good relationship with your boss too, to be able to take the time off and to be able to balance it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you just got to make yourself irreplaceable, don't you? You just got to work hard, and then like the trade-off is we'll let you take off time whenever you need to.
Yeah, that's what's up. So yeah, I gotta tell you a story here. So after COVID, because I was out of work and everything got hit really hard over here in LA, and it was a total mess. And I remember, because I had directed my feature film and I wanted to, keep going with film stuff. But after COVID, everything went to shit. And I ended up having to get just like a normal job. I was a busser at a restaurant, because no one would hire me as a server. Now I'm a server at a restaurant. It's obviously better. But I remember talking to one of my coworkers, and I was telling him about my film and stuff. And he was like shocked that I was like, quote, successful. And he was like, "What are you doing here, dude?" It like kind of hurt my feelings, because I'm like, dude, yeah, what am I doing here? But at the end of the day, it's like, I got to do what I got to do. And there's a quote that says, sometimes you got to do what you have to do before you can do what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, yeah, you would have probably felt like, oh, it's a bit of a stab or whatever at yourself, but at the same time, like it's probably a genuine thing. It's like, oh, you're so creative and so talented. What are you still working a job like that? It could have been really genuine in that moment, but that's funny as. So what is a busser?
I know.
Busser and a server, you said.
Okay, so busser is like, cleaning up the tables, doing food running, bringing the food out to the tables, cleaning up basically. It's like lowest position on the totem pole, and then server, obviously waiter, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. We don't really have those terms here in Australia. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, for sure. And then, dude, tell me about the biggest obstacle you guys have overcome as a band.
Oh, yeah, this is a great one. If I'm being honest, just after we released Angel Killer Zero was probably the hardest period of the band.
Yep, lineup changes.
Yeah, fully real here. Like that was like Diamond Construct was definitely on its knees there for a little bit. Like obviously like half the band sort of moved on to do their own thing. So it was just Braids and I. So that was like a massive struggle to keep it going. Like, do we keep going? Do we just turn this into an internet project? Do we find new members? But then it's like, fuck, we've done this like for so long. Like, how do we just keep finding, people or whatever? But in the end, everything worked out, like we went away and did a lot of work on ourselves and the band as well, and got it back up and running. Liam sort of rejoined as well, like, well, not sort of, he definitely rejoined. So that was
yeah,
great.
I wanted to ask about that because he left for a little bit and then came back. So what was going on there? Whatever you can speak on.
Yeah. Without going into like hectic detail, like we're obviously all best friends, myself, Liam, and Braids, and like there was nothing really personal between us. It was just more the inner workings of the band could have been dealt with much better in terms of like being professional and doing some stuff that were like fully just going hard, like got to take it as like professional as you can. So there was like just a few things there that like ourselves we could have worked on a little bit better, and I think it was more so like guys, I need to step away while you guys get yourself sorted, and then we can like work together again. And so we did that, and like now it's like the better than ever. So that time was like the toughest hurdle to get over. I'm glad that happened then, and I know it was bad timing with Angel Killer Zero coming out and stuff like that, but if that didn't happen then, it probably would have happened later, and we would just be delaying doing the hard work and doing the hard yards. So yeah, it's just I'm actually so glad that all of that happened now, and this is the best position the band has been in by far for the entirety of the band. So it's running really smoothly. Everyone's taking this so seriously, super professional. The tours are great. We're building like a great reputation on our name, and yeah, it's all because of that. So it's good.
Well, yeah, and it's like a family or it's like a marriage, analogy. It's like you got to learn how to work through some of those behind the scenes things, and hopefully you come out stronger on the other side. So it sounds like that's what happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask about, you guys had a DJ in your band for a little bit, Callum. So if you look closely, you will see him in the Jinx music video, which I thought was kind of funny. He's, kind of a little bit edited out there. But I wanted to know, like, what was his kind of involvement, during Angel Killer Zero, and how much of, that sound was he responsible for? Or, because you guys obviously did, a lot of changes with, just all your innovation and the new sound that you were doing with all this electronic elements. So yeah, how did his like coming and going affect the process of writing Angel Killer Zero?
Yeah, so it's probably an easy sort of mistake to make, but they're actually two different people. So
really?
Yeah. We had,
I didn't know.
We had Aaron sort of working with the band. He's the one that's in the Jinx music video, and he came after Callum. So Callum was DCX2. He definitely did a lot on that in terms of the electronic layers. Braids and I would send him a bunch of, stuff that we had worked on because we were just starting to get into making the electronic sounds, and then he would make them, 5-6 times better, and some more stuff, and then send them back, and we'd sort of pick and choose what we wanted to keep, etc. So back on DCX2, Callum had a massive input. In terms of with Aaron, he brought in like a unique thing for us that he knew how to DJ scratch. Like he taught himself that. So that was his biggest input. Was I went around to his house like on the weekends and stuff leading up to doing the pre-production for the album, and I'd record him just doing scratches over like pretty much every section on the album, just being like, show me what you can come up with. And a lot of it stuck, and a lot of it went on the release. So that was like his input there. But in terms of the soundscape of the entire electronics and the interludes and the blend of everything, like that was already, the platform was already there. So my brother and I obviously write at 50-50, and we've been across the electronic music since about 2018. We were trialing it, but in about 2021, when we moved to Queensland, we really dived in together. So that was something that we worked on during that sort of whole COVID period, 2020, 2021. Braids and I just went hard at building the sound for that. So it was kind of like a really long process. It was learning about it. It was implementing it on like 100 demos. And then it was like finalizing it with songs that were going to make Angel Killer Zero. So it's like a big thing.
Yeah, well, and that's what I love about this album too, is it's so expansive, and I like all the interludes. I like how the tracks blend together. Like it's one of those albums that you can listen to multiple times and find a new sound or a new little sound bite, and you're like, you wonder, oh, where did that come from? How did that come about? And it makes the record so expansive.
Cool, thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
And I'm a filmmaker. I tend to get inspired to write movies from music. So I'm wondering if there's any movies that have inspired you guys to write music.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I think like this is something that Meshuggah talk about as well, is like they don't really listen to a lot of metal music. They get a lot of their inspiration from movies, and we're sort of the same. Like even though we're not like massive movie heads that watch movies constantly, like it's more so just remembering the ones that stick. Like I think like Interstellar is a huge one for me. Shutter Island, things like that. I think the soundtracks for those kind of, or The Conjuring as well, the first one, that played a massive part in building the sound for DCX2, that movie, just with the horror sort of sounds. But Interstellar was so epic, man. And I think that the emotional weight that Hans Zimmer sort of carried with that, like that still sticks with me today. Sort of like the epic transitions, like the leading into Faded or leading into Clickbait on the album. It's kind of based off like, okay, you've heard something so heavy, and now we want to like take you on this journey to introduce you to like a new theme. That's where we sort of got the ideas for that. But not just movies, man, like video games, anime, obviously, just a bunch of things is the entire sound of like Angel Killer Zero sort of comes from that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you mentioned Hans Zimmer. How about Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah, I can't remember who mentioned that to me. I'd done another podcast, I think, when AKZ was coming out, and they mentioned Blade Runner 2049. I've seen it, but it's not really been anything in the forefront of my mind. I know the correlation between it. It seems so obvious, but was not thinking about that at all.
It was just deep in the subconscious.
It must have been, yeah.
I love that soundtrack too, because Hans Zimmer just kills it. All the synth wave, like that's one of my favorite scores of all time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to have to go back on it and listen to it again, bro, because people mention it to me at the merch desk as well. And I'm like, I got to go back and watch this movie and see the correlation.
And if you could have any Diamond Construct song in any movie, show, video game, what would you want your music to be in?
I think an anime intro would be dope, because like I know there's a few Japanese bands that have got their own stuff onto, you know, some big animes and things out there. So if we ever could do something like that, and the trade-off was they gave us like an anime music video, that would be so perfect. But other than that, if our interludes or something could make it onto like some sort of Final Fantasy promotion video or something, I'd melt, because that's like my favorite series of all time.
That's right. And you got some of those lines in the tracks as well.
Yeah, heaps of it.
I was actually curious about that. Like, did you have to get the rights to that, or did you just sneak it in there?
No, because so the thing with copyright is if you change something by a certain amount, you're obviously allowed to use it. The fact that the voices have been pitch shifted, time stretched, and they're not full excerpts as well, like chop and change where they're speaking. So usually it will only be like 1 or 2 lines of what they're saying is how it's been sort of done. So jumble it up, stretch it out, slow it down, pitch shift it, add a bunch of effects and stuff like that. And then by the time you embed that with a lot of gain and you put that in your music, which obviously is 100% written by yourself, there's no way that any algorithm is going to pick up on that, you know. So you're like, yeah, it's fine. It's not like I asked them though, so I don't know, they could come back in 10 years be like, yo, give us some coin.
And then tell me about like a brief overview of where you guys were as a band over your career, because it looks like you guys have changed your style drastically with each release. I mean, starting at Event Horizon in 2016, it was much more like gent, prog, metalcore. Then you had the self-titled, and then, you know, DCX2 is when you really started carving out your own sound with like the new metal electronic, and you've just been developing that into today.
I think when we first started out, like we didn't really know who we were. That probably goes for a lot of bands out there, especially when you start so young. So I'd say like, you know, Diamond Construct really started with the back end of the self-titled album, and we've been learning about ourselves ever since. I think that we've really came into our own sound on DCX2. Super proud of that record. And then with Angel Killer Zero, I finally honed in on what we were trying to do on DCX2 and really sort of crafted our own unique sound on top of that. And now, like when we're working on demos and stuff like that, it's even more into a solidified sound. So I wish I could show you some stuff, but obviously can't. But we're definitely sort of taking DCX2 and Angel Killer Zero, and obviously some other stuff, some newer, fresher stuff too. It's like something that's been sifted through and you've got all the shit out, you know? It's honed in.
It's refined.
Yeah, that's the word. So a lot of the newer stuff that we've been working on is just a bit more refined and progressed. I think that fans of Angel Killer Zero is going to love like the new shit.
I can't wait. And talk to me about your writing process. And also, I love this quote that you said. You said, if I was writing music for them, then they can pay me to do that.
Oh, that's funny as, dude. Yeah, our writing process is probably a bit different to most people because we have 2 writers. A lot of bands will have one or all of them. I don't touch anything of Braden's stuff. He doesn't touch any of my stuff until pretty much like at the end of it. So he'll do a demo, he'll show me it, and I'll be like, this is awesome, my turn. And then I'll go in there and he'll be like, what the hell, now I need to up my shit. So we sort of just stay separate. Like we'll do stuff like, usually the writing process is we get on our laptop, we'll obviously just jam riffs over a tempo, work on the pedal board, or we'll come up with like an electronic beat backing and start jamming over that. So a lot of it will be from our voice notes already, especially myself. Like I'll have 20 voice notes in my phone so that it's kind of like I know what I'm doing when I hit the computer. And then we just sort of trade back and forth. Like I'll do like a vocal demo over one of his songs, or he'll be like, Kynes, you should change the structure of this, or just like, let me fix up that riff for you or something like that. So we'll work on each other's stuff like after the fact when the song's pretty much already like 80-90% of the way there. So yeah, that's genuinely how it comes about. And then we give it to Liam once it's pretty much solidified, and he'll be like, yep, let's change these guitarist drums, because obviously like he is all over it. He's like the best drummer I think I've seen of his age. And then he will come back and be like, yo, here's the MIDI for like what I've done. What do you reckon? I'm like, yeah, sweet. Sounds good.
Yeah, love that. And then talk to me about working with Lance Prenc. This guy is my favorite producer. He's worked on Alpha Wolf, Void Division, Gravemind, Dark Matter, Dissect, just a lot of my favorites. Like his mixes are huge. And also I want to hear if you guys are planning on staying with him, because I really hope you do.
Yeah, Lance is a G. Love the big fella. You know, we obviously started touring with him probably when we started touring, like with bands like Alpha Wolf and Void and stuff, like some of the bigger dogs, and we were just opening and shit. So we came across him when I think he had done a single for Alpha Wolf way back in 2017 or just before, and we were like, whoa, this sounds incredible. We hit him up and it was like reasonably priced, especially for us at the time. We had no money. So we hit him up to do, I think, Paradox, our first single with him, and he nailed it. So we've obviously been working with him ever since, because he just understands our sound so well. And I love the creative stuff that he does with it. Like, people wouldn't really understand that, like, the clipping and stuff is like intentional, but it is, you know, like he just thinks that Diamond Construct needs to fucking slap way too hard that it's like your speakers are broken, and I fuck with that. So some people don't like it, some people love it. So it just sort of depends, you know. He crushes it every time, and obviously we'd love to keep working with him. We'll probably do that. But I mean, we never really just close any doors, so we've always got them open. If anything sort of comes up, even if we're just doing our own shit or whatever, like we're still learning. But we love Lance's mix, and like we'd love to keep working with him for sure. Yeah, well, and it sounds huge, man. Like I have a rebuilt sound system and a huge subwoofer in my car, and it sounds amazing. So I just love it. I love the big bass drops. You know? Oh yeah, for sure.
So Angel Killer Zero really gave me Linkin Park Hybrid Theory vibes, just with, you know, how creative it was, all the different sounds and styles going on. I was wondering, have you guys thought about doing like a reanimation of sorts, you know, remixing the tracks? Because I think it would work really well with this style, or is it kind of on to the next project after this?
I love the way you're thinking there. That's awesome, because like we have talked about it. We've talked about doing like a 5-track like remix sort of thing. So, you know, like clickbait lo-fi sort of, or like stripped back, or like harsher, just like as an EDM sort of track, because obviously it's very trap style, things like that. So we do want to get around to that. It's just so hard when, you know, you've already got a deluxe sort of, so that'll be 14 tracks, and then we've probably already written 40 odd demos for like our new stuff. So like for us as creative musicians, like we always want to just get our best new shit out. But in terms of being smart with it, like I know that people would still love to hear like various versions of the album. So it's definitely still on the cards, and it's definitely something that we still want to do, even if it's just a double single, you know, clickbait stripped back and something like that. Like even if it was just 2, like I'd love to do that.
Yeah. Have you thought about remixing Faded or doing anything with that track? Also, was there going to be a music video? I know you guys talked about possibly doing one at some point.
Yeah, that was originally going to be the 3rd single instead of Hell Inside You, but we decided to go with Hell Inside You because we knew that Faded was going to get love anyway, and people's attention spans are so short these days, especially on like an 11-track album. It's kind of like we wanted to spread the love as best we could. We were like, you know, people are going to love clickbait, people are going to love Faded, that's all good, like just leave them there for the album tracks and sort of give some other ones that would probably be like glossed over some love. So that's like the thought process behind that.
Yeah, for sure. And then talk to me about the album art coming to you in a dream. And I like that the best ideas are the ones that, you know, stick around with you.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely did come to me in a dream, bro, like in the weirdest way. Like the way that it is pretty much drawn is almost exactly how I saw it. And like I just kind of woke up. I had like the album title as well. It was a really strange dream. It was almost like premonition type thing. It definitely hit me. Once I got that, it was like a couple of weeks later that I didn't really sort of speak to the boys about it. And then I came to them and I was like, yo, I've got the album title. Like I've been sitting on it. Like, so I told them, they loved it. And that's pretty much exactly when I went to work on getting it drawn up, because I was like, okay, they're down with that they see the vision, you know, the anime ties, the video game style, fucking voice effects. Like I had all this kind of in that dream, the excerpts from my favorite video games and all that, like tie it together. So then I just straight up went and got like designers to work on the logo, the artwork, and like this is well before anyone should ever do that. Like this is like 18 months before the thing came out. It was already like being worked on, the art.
Yeah, well, I relate to that too, because it's like if I'm starting a project or I'm writing a screenplay, it's like I need to have the title first. Like I'm not going to work on something that's untitled. Like I have to have the name of the project and kind of see the full vision of it, and then that guiding force, like the title and then the theme or the thesis, you know, what it's going to be about.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. I can understand that process. And I guess for us, like we're usually the opposite. Like self-titled got called the self-titled Diamond Construct because we just got to the end and we're like, fuck it, like it is what it is. DCX2, I think the name came right at the end as well, like pretty much when it was almost recorded and shit. But this time around, like this is the first one that had been given a name, and you know, I think that definitely helped birth it into what it is, you know, being such like a unique thing with like a almost like concepts and shit like that. So I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, for sure. And then talk to me about the anime aesthetics, you know, Final Fantasy, Neon Genesis, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! That's a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, we love Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess because we've been sort of building a aesthetic live, you know, for a long time. Like we've tried to build ourselves into characters that, you know, are not just like any Joe Blow off the street. So that's sort of where that came into play as well with the music videos and stuff. We work with Colin. Colin's always trying to build us like a world. He calls it world building, where people can sort of buy into your brand. And I think the fact that just using things like nostalgia for myself actually gives me an investment into the music a lot more, even after the fact that I like the songs. Obviously, I'm in the band. I just think that, you know, I love Final Fantasy. I love like anime. I love all this shit. Like putting that in the music or putting that in the aesthetic just makes me believe in it and back with it so hard. And like, it's good to see that people actually sort of fuck with that. Like I didn't think that people would even get some of these references anymore and shit. Like we're obviously getting older, you know, times are moving on and stuff, but it's really cool to see that people still fuck with that.
Yeah. And then I got to talk to you about Yu-Gi-Oh! So what were some of your favorite cards, characters, moments from the anime?
I've actually got like season 1 on disc, DVD case kind of thing, and like unzip it. I've got like, and they're like all the volumes, 4 episodes per disc. We got that for like Christmas, I think, when we were like maybe 10 years old or something. So season 1 is absolutely my favorite. I think my favorite moment in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Yugi versus Kaiba on like the top of the castle. It's just so epic. And Kaiba's like,
and then Kaiba's gonna lose, and he's like, I'm gonna if you attack, I'm gonna fall off the edge.
Yeah,
like you're gonna kill me.
He's like, bro, I'll kill myself if I lose. I'm just like, holy, that is crazy. That shit would not happen nowadays. But favorite cards, I'd probably have to say I'd probably go to GX though, man. I think GX's like fusion stuff just was so hard, bro. Like Cyber Dragons and, you know, the elemental heroes and things like that. I'd probably have to say GX was like the best. Anything second generation, bro, is the best. Like second gen Pokemon is the best. Second gen Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the best. Second gen Beyblades. Like I think that second is always the best. Like they sort of improve it, and then they just go for the money after that, I think.
My favorite cards would be Dark Arm Dragon as a monster. Spell card would be Painful Choice, and then trap card Crush Card Virus. Do you remember that one?
That's a great card, bro. Can't forget Change of Heart though. I think that's just the hardest Yu-Gi-Oh! Card of all time. Just take their monster.
Yeah, that one's pretty epic. And then talk to me about your interview with Crunchyroll. That seemed like a big deal. And I love what they wrote on there. They said, read the conversation below and then listen to AKZ while you pilot your mech.
Yeah, that's so cool. It was so strange how it came about. Like, I wasn't expecting it. And then Ophelia, who deals with a lot of our sort of promotional stuff, just said, hey, like these guys have hit you up, like they've seen the music videos, they really like it, they want to speak to you. And I was like, okay, that's random, but like super cool, really interesting conversation. So good to talk about like anime for so long, like I could do that all day. And I got a free Crunchyroll thing out of it at the end of it. So I was like, cool, this is definitely worthwhile. So I can just watch Crunchyroll whenever now, which is cool.
That's awesome, dude. And then let's talk about Angel Killer Zero Deluxe. This was my album of the year. So again, super stoked to talk with you, and yeah, just really thankful for your time. But I wanted to ask, how did you decide the track list? And then specifically, how did you decide which tracks would be saved for the Deluxe?
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, well, I hope you got a little bit more time then, because speaking about like the Deluxe and the track ordering and stuff is like there's a bit to it. So originally Death Party, which is one of the songs on this Deluxe edition part, was supposed to be like the second single for the original release and stuff like that before we had written Switchblade. So that was kind of like, it was kind of like the prequel to the sound for Switchblade, because Death Party was the one that was written first. So it's definitely like good enough to be on the original release of the album. But when we sort of decided that we were going to do a Deluxe edition, we were kind of like, all right, Death Party's too good to just be like sitting amongst the rest of the songs. Like it needs to have its own sort of thing. So that's why we pushed it to the Deluxe. So
it needs to have its own moment.
Yeah.
And those two tracks are kind of similar, like you said. So it's good to give them each their own time to shine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just think like when people see Deluxe editions, sometimes they'll think like, oh, these are just B-sides and stuff. Like at any one point, you know, these songs for us were like our favorite songs. So as long as people know that like as much care went into these songs as the other ones, for sure. Even though they are a little bit different in some ways, especially the last two, they are very different for Diamond Construct.
All right, so let's talk about a track by track of the album. Let's talk about the first track, Hashira. And I like the ending here, that quote, "Even if I was with you, I could never forget." So what is that sample from?
That one is from Final Fantasy X, from the water scene. And that's what the actual intro to that track is as well. It's like that falling cascading diamond sound is actually from the water scene in Final Fantasy X, where Titus and Yuna are sort of talking about their future and how they can't sort of be together. I thought that's just like one of the most powerful moments in video game history for myself, when someone's faced with a choice that they don't really have a say in. So yeah, like those samples were used, and I was like, yeah, it just, the weight of that needs to be like at the front of the album. So it just sort of perfectly went with it, I think.
Yeah, and you said this is also one of your favorite songs?
Yeah, it was probably the first song that was written other than Neon. Neon was the very first song written for the album, but I think Hashira was the first song that we had written that I was kind of like, this song is Angel Killer Zero. Like this has got everything that we want to be on the album in it. That's why we put it at the front.
Yeah, for sure. And then track number 2, Jinx, obviously music video, Colin Jeffs killing it. I love this one. I like that there's the crown of thorns. I like the note. I like how it's kind of cryptic. So talk to me about this video.
Yeah. I love the video, bro. It sort of just was like this strange concept to me that I wanted to sort of put the entirety of the themes of the album, kind of like this cybernetic world, the AI talking, like the dream-like kind of stuff. I wanted the visuals to match that concept. So basically, being the first like lead single of the album, I thought that would be a perfect way to do that. So that video is pretty much just like a visual representation of kind of like the themes of what the album is going to do. More so not even in particular with Jinx. It's more so just like that video ties together with the album really well. We chose that one as the first single because, you know, we just wanted something hard with hard breakdowns and shit. And I think that song was perfect for that. It done its job really well.
Yeah, and then track number 3, Neon. I love that like the opening guitar has like that scratching noise, and use that throughout the track, and it really reminded me of Reflection's Cicada, the intro. Have you heard that song?
Yeah, I have heard that song a lot later than most people though. I only got into Reflections like last year, I think, when our sound guy like sort of showed us. Like I'd heard of them before way back, but like their new stuff is like fucking way better.
Yeah.
So yeah, Neon was like I said, like the first song that we wrote for the album, just because like it was like the last standing demo that sort of made the cut. So I think that song was like written pretty much in 2021 or something, like near the start of 2021, which is crazy to think about. So yeah, you sit on a track like that for years, I can tell you, it's not fun, because you're like, this needs to be out, you know, it's like we need to show people like what we're doing now. But yeah, happens like that.
I love how it's kind of an unconventional like rap metal track, and that you guys even snuck in like a high energy breakdown towards the end of the song to keep it fresh.
Yeah, for sure. Otherwise it would have just been the same section the entire way through, so we needed to break it up with like a breakdown. People wouldn't really notice that the entire song is like the one section, just with the different layers sort of being cut out, basically how rap music goes anyway. So that song is so fun live, man. Like, people are quickly coming to that song as like their favorite Diamond Construct song, just because of like, it's just so bouncy live. So like, we just fucking love playing that one.
And then track number 4, Zodiac Memories. So this one seems like a really dark song. Tell me about like your mental state when you were writing this song and what the song's about.
Yeah, so Zodiac Memories, it's more about something that happened like in the past. What it's talking about is a lot of shit from that I was still struggling with in like 2018, 2019, 2020 even. Like, it's more so thinking about the past in such a way where I needed to get it out. I think it was a bit like therapeutic because I was still thinking about it when we wrote Zodiac Memories. And you know, when something, you know, so massive happens to you that you're going to keep thinking about it until you come to a cathartic sort of space with it. So writing that song and being able to like perform that song and record that song definitely like helped me get over it and like push through. So that's definitely the darkest song on the album. And I think that when people sort of talk about Angel Killer Zero, that this song gets forgotten about a lot. Like, it's a heavy song, you know? So, yeah, I definitely hope that it doesn't get glossed over too much longer, because I love that song. I think it just goes so hard.
Yeah, and the ending is really cool too, with, you know, more Final Fantasy samples and just an ambient section that leads perfectly into Faded.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite transition on the album, is that one. I just think it works so well.
And then track number 5, Faded. Yeah, this is my favorite track. This one in Switchblade, obviously, but I kind of like too that it has like a Chase Atlantic style kind of chorus and just a really beautiful track.
Bro, that's funny that you say that, man, because I was listening to fuckloads of Chase Atlantic when I wrote that chorus.
Dude, they're so good, man. They're awesome.
They're so good, man. I saw them in 2022 and they blew me away. But
they're Australian as well.
Yeah, they're from North Queensland, so repping the boys there. Yeah, that's incredible that you picked that out, dude. Not many people, I don't think, would ever pick that out, but it is very much a Chase Atlantic style chorus over the top of a metalcore song.
We need more of that, dude. We need more of that. It's so good.
There's more coming, don't you worry. I've got a couple of demos that are at least twice as good as Faded, bro. So, well, at least I think so.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's just like such a catchy song, and it's really well structured too. And then how about track number 6, Switchblade OST? I love how chaotic the opening is, and then, dude, the tempo change into like the rap chorus like truly caught me off guard and blew my mind when I first heard it. So to this day, I feel like it's one of the sickest things I've ever heard.
Hell yeah.
I just love it.
I appreciate that, bro. That's one of my ones. That song, that was the last song written. Like, everything had already been recorded for the entire album at that point, and I was like, no, I've still got one more left. Like, so writing that was really easy because the entire platform of the album was already there in terms of the soundscapes and everything like that. And dude, I just came up with the rap thing at work one time. I was working on a palette and people would have thought I was crazy, but I was just doing the chorus rap over and over so that I wouldn't forget it. And I was actually like mouthing it out. So people would have just been like, this guy is insane. And then I actually recorded it into my phone. I went up to like the bathroom or something and recorded it into my phone, wrote it that night and the next day. And the tempo thing, I think it was a mistake, bro. I think I accidentally left the ramp tempo on in my session for a section. I think it was supposed to go into a breakdown, but it went into the chorus after I'd like moved it around and restructured it. And I was like, fuck, this actually works. So yeah, sometimes like the best creative things are like mistakes gone right.
Yeah, happy accidents.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the music video. This is also one of the coolest music videos and memorable, impactful that I've seen, just because of how freaking crazy bold it is. I love the sword in there, all the effects, zooming through the subway, aerial shots, streetcars, Gundams, firing missiles with the pedal board.
Yeah.
This video just has everything.
It's got it all, man. It was definitely the most fun music video I think we've ever made. This was all Colin Jess. Like, he pretty much came up with everything that you see, bar like a few things. You know, me and him bounced ideas off each other at first, but genuinely how we do these crazy music videos is like he tries to make sense of our chaotic brains. You know, I think the first treatment I wrote something like, you know, fucking missiles blow up the earth and like we come out of the mist or something like that. And, you know, just crazy shit like that, like stuff that you can't actually make. And he'll just turn that into a music video somehow. So yeah, he done a really good job on that one. I think that's his favorite music video of ours too. So it's a good one.
I think you guys have like the most swagger in this video.
That's mad.
And then let's talk about track 7, Delirium. This one has some of the coolest opening riffs and really fast and technical.
Yep. This is another track that I think gets glazed over too much. That's why like we did the guitar reel for it recently. I think that they're probably just finding out about the song, to be honest. A lot of people that aren't really into Diamond Construct. It's the most sort of representation based from the self-titled, I think, because it is guitar riff driven with your classic low screams and stuff like that, and it's fast paced. We wanted at least 1 or 2 tracks that really derived from the self-titled sound, that angrier sort of breakdown sound, so that people could, when they are listening to Angel Killer Zero, they still had something fresh that they wanted from the old times, you know? So that's sort of what that song came about. And I think it's done a good job for that. I think it's like an insane riff, so it's good.
Yeah, and then track number 8, Hell Inside You. Obviously, we had a music video with this one, and I love how, you know, it sounds super futuristic and really blending that dubstep and metal. And this made me think of, have you heard Korn's 2011 album, The Path of Totality? Because this sounds like that, but just more fully realized.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely can see the correlation there. This song is like, it was my favorite when we were doing it, and it's definitely my favorite music video we've done. I just think that it's like chilled out enough where you can still follow what's happening in the video, but it's got enough street cred in there to be like, oh, this is like, it fucking matches the song. So that's definitely my favorite video.
And then track number 9, I Don't. This track seems to be like the most chaotic, unpredictable, out there track on the album. And of course you got that controversial mixing 50 seconds into the track.
The moment. It still gets talked about. Yeah, I think that this one is like everyone's favorite song secretly, even if they don't say it. It's just so stupid. Like the fact that it just blows up your headphones. I love that. I love that Lance did that. I love that Braden wrote that breakdown. I just think it's such an iconic moment for us. It's our little sort of thing to just throw out there and just be like, yeah, this is dumb and we like it like that way. So I think the song itself is so fun as well. We opened with it on this tour. We came out there and just opened every night with that song. So 40 or 50 seconds into seeing Diamond Construct, even if they're into Windwaker and they don't know who we are, they're just getting hit with that. So that was the idea. It's just a fun song, man.
There's another vocal sample towards the end, which leads into clickbait, and it says, but whatever happens, you can't fall in love with me. Even if you think you have, it's not real.
Yeah, that's my favorite, bro. I think I was playing Final Fantasy VII at the time, and that was like the biggest thing that hit me. Like that it's like heart-wrenching to hear that, you know, like, and I think that it feels so right with the album, especially after hearing such a heavy song. You know, just the fact that like something isn't real, you know, that love or whatever. And I think that just it ties with the concepts of the album. So it was perfectly sort of placed. And then going into Clickbait, which is obviously a song about love and all of that, like I think that it just worked really well.
And then talk to me about the music video for Clickbait.
Bit fun, that one. The reason why it sort of doesn't fit in terms of, you know, what we did with the first 3 music videos is because we actually shot that one when we shot Hit It Back. So that music video was already done in 2021. We shot that in the exact same week that we did Hit It Back, and it was originally meant to be for another song called Save Me that never came out. Yeah, so that was going to be its own standalone single, and it just sat in the Collins computer for years until we could find a song to repurpose it for, because obviously it's a very story piece. It's got no performance, so it could go to any song, but it has to go to the right one. And the fact that when we saw Clickbait going really well, and it was kind of like a crowd favorite and people love that one off it because it's the only one where it's like singing the whole way through, it just sort of spoke to us and been like, okay, we can use this music video for that now. So it's cool that it finally
That's
got
so
used.
cool. I never would have known that was like old footage repurposed, but that's cool to hear the backstory.
Yeah. So now you know.
And then track number 11, You Want That Scene Shit. Where did that title come from? And also I love that this is just a defiant, epic closer with like these machine gun style breakdowns. It's just so long and unrelenting and punishing.
Yeah. That's it's pretty heavy sort of closer. The title came about because in 2021 we had dropped Hit It Back, and before it became like a bit of a cult classic for us and our biggest song, it copped so much hate, bro. That song copped so much hate. Like, we were like the most hated band.
Like, what have we done?
Just because of that one song. So I think I was just really pissed off about that, and I just sort of got in the studio and I was like, yeah, well, you want that scene shit? Well, fucking here you go. Like, and that was the title. I just typed it in and got the guitar and just started going ham.
I love it. It's awesome. Let's talk about the deluxe tracks. Death Party. This one kind of reminded me of Psychosis, just with like the opening breakdown and riff. It also has some of those similarities with Switchblade OST and Neon with kind of those bouncy rap elements.
Yeah. So like I was sort of saying earlier, Death Party was kind of the prequel to Switchblade. It was like the first one of that sound, where we were going for reminiscent of Psychosis, but trying to do something new that we hadn't done with it. So even with the soundscapey sort of stuff, the backings, like, it was very trap orientated. So that's how that song sort of came about. But I remember when Braden showed me the demo to that one, he was playing it all with his hands on the pedal. So one hand he was playing on the guitar, and the other hand he was using to affect the pedal board. And like, when he showed me that, I was just like, I nearly passed out, man. It was just insane. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So wait till the guitar reel's done for that one. I can tell you that.
Is he going to be on the ground tapping it with his hands?
Well,
or not?
in the music video, he's just playing it with his hands and stuff. So you'll get to see it on that, but wait till you see the actual playthrough. Yeah, it's just going to be crazy. Like, it's such a unique riff, and I think it's like, it personifies Braids in one person, like just that song. So yeah, it's a good one.
So there's a music video.
Yeah. I guess I'll let that one slip. So yeah, there'll be a music video for that one too.
Okay, right on. And then track number 13. How do you pronounce this?
Sharingan. It's from Naruto.
This one kind of has like Hit It Back vibes a little bit, with kind of the cheeky lyrics and all the girls call me baby.
Yeah. Obviously, sometimes we like just doing like the fun shit. Stuff that's almost like nonsensical. It's just like whatever, like first take of what you come up with in your head, like freestyling, is going to make the final cut. So we like to do this thing when we're on tour. We get together and we take turns using the microphone to just do like little rap tracks over like random beats. So a lot of this song was one of my freestyles, like on a particular tour that we just got together after a few drinks and just started rapping. And I just remember listening to it and laughing, and I was like, this is so funny. Like, we just gotta have to use this. So I put that over the top of Sharingan, which was obviously a song that we were working on at the time, and it just sort of fit. Like, it was like the same tempo. So that's how that came about. It's not meant to be taken seriously or anything like that. So before anyone jumps on the bandwagon and tries to hate on the lyrics, it's just more of a fun freestyle vibe. Yeah, it's just a fun song.
Yeah, and I love that you guys balance that with like fun songs and then more serious stuff as well.
Yeah, you got to, not everything can just be the generic sad boy shit, like it gets old fast.
Yeah, I hear you. And then talk about track number 14, Angel with Dead Wings. This one has like a really cool electronic kind of breakbeat section, like a minute 15 in, and then 2 minutes in, you have that like delirium level tapping and riffage going on, and then obviously ending with like a huge breakdown as well. So really cool track.
Thanks, man. I think it's it's the title track basically for the album, and it's kind of fitting that it's the last one up that you hear, because it's got a little bit of everything that we've done on the album in terms of like you've got your almost DJ sort of drop, and then the most insane riff in the middle of this track, and then like just such a big sort of breakdown at the end, almost Slipknot style. I just think that this song for us is like, it sort of caps the album off really, really well. So it'd be fun to play this one live. I think it's more of a live sort of song, so we'll see how we go with that. But Yeah, I think people are going to really dig that track. I think it might be like their favorite out of the 3 Deluxe ones.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And so if you guys could put forward one message with your music, what would that be?
I would say being yourself, staying true to yourself, being unique. If I had to pick one word, unique. This band is always trying to be ourselves, no matter what, like through the thick and thin of people's, you know, commentary on the band or what they think we should be. We just do what we want to do. We do what we like to hear, and that's Diamond Construct to us.
Well, yeah, you guys are promoting that authenticity, really, to be yourself and to just lean into that rather than trying to fit any mold.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what's next for you guys in 2025? And also, man, are we ever going to get a USA tour? I know there's a lot of visas and issues and all that stuff. I'm really stoked to see you guys whenever you come through LA.
Yeah, for sure, dude. We were just on the phone to our US team the other day, actually. So it's getting closer and closer. Things are starting to get talked about like a little bit more seriously now. So people won't have to wait too much longer. I know that it's been forever and it sucks that we hadn't gotten our opportunity and stuff, but it's a big building block and you got to do things the right way. And, you know, obviously you can't just cripple the band financially and stuff like that by just being too keen. So things are got to be handled the right way, and now they are. And we're definitely getting more seriously about going there. So it will definitely 100% happen, and it's looking like it'll be 2026. So that's good, like first half of the year. But, you know, don't quote me on that if it doesn't sort of eventuate in that time period. But it definitely, it's looking like it's going to happen. So that's, yeah. For the rest of this year, though, we're going to be like releasing a little bit more consistently. So we don't want to let our fans sort of wait too long. Even though that we've done just a massive release and stuff like that, like we want to just probably do a couple of standalone singles or a couple of double singles or something like that. So we've definitely got enough in the tank. We just need to get to the studio and finalize it and start sort of drip feeding that out.
Yeah, well, and it's nice you guys are not short on the creativity department. You know, now it's just a matter of money and timing and creating the content and the release strategy.
Yeah, exactly. There's always demos in there. That Dropbox is just full of demos. It's insane.
Yeah, and you guys are definitely going to have an audience when you do come to the States, because, man, I was at a concert the other day and I was wearing my Diamond Construct long sleeve and I got 3 compliments on it, dude.
Nice.
So I feel like that was kind of a record. You know, people were like, oh, Diamond Construct. And I was like, dude, yeah.
Hell yeah. So
I was out there promoting and talking about you guys. And yeah, I know you guys have a lot of other fans out here too.
Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. Well, I'm so keen to get over there because I think that, you know, obviously the US is our biggest market. You know, it's like our most streamed country. And I just think that like our sound sort of fits with what you guys are doing over there. So like we can't wait to get over there and show everyone like what we're about. Yeah, it'll be awesome.
For sure. And Angel Killer Zero Deluxe is out March 21st, 2025. So pre-order it, stream it, love it. And where can people connect with you, Kynan?
Biggest place is obviously Instagram. That's our main platform. Obviously, we're doing some stuff now on TikTok. So if you want to follow us on there, that's diamond.construct. Facebook is obviously getting a little bit more phased out these days, but we still post on there. Power Chord YouTube channel, Grayscale YouTube channel, our 2 record labels, stream our music, watch our music videos, buy a ticket to a show. That's the best way that people can support us in Australia anyway. And if you live all over the world, the best way that you can do that is jump on our fucking merch store, just buy a hat, a t-shirt, whatever, a CD even. It goes a long way just to get us to the next show or to get more merch and stuff like that. So that's diamondconstruct.co is our merch store. So if everyone could go on there and buy just one item, that would just go a long way.
Right on, dude. Well, thanks so much for your time, Kynan. It was a blessing to talk to you, and I'm going to keep promoting your stuff. And yeah, I wish all the best to you guys.
Thanks so much for your time as well, Spencer. It's been an awesome chat, and I obviously love talking about music, especially when it involves great questions that you've asked. So I appreciate that, man.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating/review. 5 stars is a power play. I want to welcome any new listeners and let you know that there's lots more metalcore band interviews coming soon. So follow the show and keep up with me on social medias at Spencer Whiteout to stay up to date. As always, stay tuned, stay hyped. That's a wrap.
And that's it.